Welcome to Crossbody of Work. My name is Evan.
I am Javier.
This week, we are diving into the career of an eliminator, a radical, and a mop-loving son of a gun. It's Perry Saturn.
Oh man, it's the Rings of Saturn. Honestly, I'm just gonna talk about it right now. Probably my favorite submission move of all time.
Oh, that's a hot take. I love it. I think it's great. Of all time?
Yeah, okay. I mean literal application. I mean literal application of it. I'm not talking like look, the ankle lock is cool because Kurt Angle did it, you know?
Yeah.
But
Sharpshooter's cool because Brett did it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean literally the move itself. Probably my favorite submission hold.
I would have thought you'd go with cattle mutilation.
The thing with cattle mutilation is I don't think it actually hurts, you know? Whereas
out of context, that is a wild fucking statement.
It really is. But also Jesus. But you look at Rings of Saturn, especially nowadays where Pac puts it on.
Yeah.
That shit looks like it fucking kind of hurts a little bit, does. You know?
On this podcast, we talk about a wrestler through 5 of their most important matches and one random promo that we can find on the internet. And that's definitely what it was this week for Perry Saturn. Before we dive in, we need to remind you all to go to our YouTube because we have YouTube content at Crossbody of Work on YouTube. You might be watching this on YouTube right now. And if you are, hit that subscribe button. Hey. Hit like. Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Nice shirt. All of that is true. Go do those things. Go see some of our other content. We started our Crossbody draft series. We drafted the WWE 2023 rosters, which is already done by the time you're hearing this. At least the first night of it has.
Yeah, and probably like it happened in real life. SmackDown washed Raw.
Maybe. And the other thing that we drafted is the top 5 authority figures of all time. We went back and forth and drafted our favorite wrestling authority figures, GMs, owners, all that good, commissioners, all that good stuff. Go to watch that one. Tell us who had the better draft. It was me, even though Javier had an absolute ringer with his last pick.
Yeah, that's a teaser right there. It's a shocker.
But of course, we're going to look at Perry Saturn through 5 of his most important matches. But Javier, what do you know of Mr. Perry Satullo?
I know that he's a radical. He was a part of the Radicals when they came over to WWF. I know he was in ECW. Honestly, it's because of this podcast that I knew he was a part of this tag team, the Eliminators.
Yep. Eliminators are sick.
He's damn good.
He is.
And that's about it. I don't know enough about Perry Saturn.
So Perry Satullo, before he became a wrestler, and it's funny because Satullo, very close to Saturn, makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
He was a U.S. Army Ranger for 4 years and listed at the age of 17. He finished a bachelor's degree before he became a full-time wrestler and is a certified graduate of the U.S. Army School. Trained at Killer Kowalski's School in Walden, Massachusetts, your neck of the woods.
Shout out to Walden Pond, baby.
Worked in the International Wrestling Federation as the Iron Cowboy, a fantastic name. Did a tour of New Japan before catching on with Eliminators, because he then was also working part-time in Boston at a nightclub. He was the manager of a nightclub. And there...
Do you know what the nightclub is? Does the nightclub
have
a name?
The name of the nightclub.
Oh, there used to be a nightclub down the street from my house. And sometimes my family would get together and then the adults would leave the older kids with the younger kids and
go to the nightclub.
All the parents would go to the nightclub. And I wanted to know if it was that. It was called the Mirage. Shout out to Mirage.
That's a great name for a nightclub.
It's now just loft apartments.
Nightclubs are a mirage. It's dark, you're drinking, everyone's having a good time, and then the lights turn on. If you've ever been in a bar when the lights turn on, you see rats scurrying, and it's actually just people. It's incredible. But he was working as the manager of a nightclub, and he met a bouncer named George Kaizo, who expressed interest in being a wrestler. And Perry sent him to Kowalski School to train, and then offered a tag team with him. And the Greek equivalent of the god Saturn, it was Cronus. So Satullo chose the name John Cronus for Kaizo, and that gives us the Eliminators. Originally, they were going to be known as the Harvesters of Sorrow, but Jerry Lawler was
not possible.
The significance of that name will be lost on everyone. So instead, you should go with the Eliminators.
Jerry Lawler's a smart man for that one.
For the business, Jerry's got an eye for the business.
Or why don't they just call himself the Titans? Cronus was a Titan.
They joined ECW in 1995, and that's where we go for our first match. ECW Big Apple Blizzard Blast, which is hard to say 5 times fast. The Eliminators
Big Apple Blizzard Blast.
challenging.
Yeah, I can't do it.
See, the Eliminators are challenging for the ECW Tag Team Championships against Cactus Jack and Mikey Whipwreck. First note, seeing Perry Saturn with hair is a trip.
Oh my God, I was thinking just that.
Okay.
What the fuck? He looks so weird. I've never seen this man with hair before. This is the first time.
They did have some more notable feuds with the Gangsters and the Pitbulls, including the fact that the Pitbulls manager Francine is how Saturn got his hair cut. She shaved his head, or cut his hair, and then he shaved his own head, and that's because he was going bald.
Yeah, you can kind of notice it.
The classic wrestling thing. What did you think of this match?
This was such a weird experience because so the clip starts and Raven is here. If you're watching on Peacock, just Raven's here and he's staring at Mikey Whipwreck like he's disgusted with him or something like that.
He owes him all of the money.
But also, like, my thing is, this is a tag match that involves 4 people, none of which are Raven. Why is Raven here? Then Joey Styles says some absolutely out-of-pocket shit about Tommy Dreamer knocking up Raven's girlfriend, Beulah McGillicuddy.
Yep.
Which, like, is that shoot? Was she actually pregnant with this kid? I know they're are they married?
Don't remember. I don't remember where they were at with this one.
Right. Tommy and Beulah, they're a couple, right?
I think
so. Actually, I don't remember if it was her or Francine, but he's married to one of the top the big ECW names. I think it was Beulah.
Anyway, some really weird. Yeah, he is married to Beulah since 2002. Yeah.
Okay, so that tracks. So now the pocket thing for Joey Styles to say out of nowhere. By the way, anyways, Evan, you're the ECW guy. Can you please tell me why Raven hates Mikey Whipwreck?
I think it's because Raven's a dick. I think that's pretty much it. Mikey Whipwreck, as we see during the match, is trying to focus on wrestling. He really wants to be a good wrestler. He wants to do mat wrestling. And Cactus Jack and Raven are essentially telling him, we are in ECW. Like, beat the shit out of this man with a lamppost. Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. So why are you doing arm drags? Just, like, hit him with thumbtacks.
Yeah. Anyways, Cactus Jack is drawing heat from the crowd because he's wearing a WWF shirt.
Yeah, as opposed to, of course, the iconic ECF&W shirt. Saturn goes out into the crowd and gets a sign from the crowd that says, Mikey, if Titan calls, please go. Which, I don't know if you know anything about WWF at the time. They were not looking at Michael Whipwreck.
Yeah, Mikey Whipwreck. He didn't ever get to go there, right?
No.
Yeah, that's why Shakara became a thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's because they wouldn't sign him.
The actual match, Cronus starts against Whipwreck, who is doing all of this technical stuff. You know, he wants a crucifix, can't secure the legs, though, and turns into an arm drag. It's a lot of what he's trying to do is just, like, grapple with...
It's a botch. He botches the crucifix and ends up doing an arm drag. That looks so
trying
shit.
To save a little bit of Mikey Whipwreck's face, and you just have to put him on blast like that.
Yeah, I do, because fuck Mikey Whipwreck for that. How do you fuck the crucifix? It's the best move.
What do you think of Saturn in this match?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. It was tough watching Saturn in this match just because he had hair. I was so thrown off by it. But no, he's jacked to the gills. You just tell, like, just in compared to all these other guys in the ring, you know, like, Mikey Whipwreck is a flabby dude. Like, Cactus is a big dude, but he's not, like, a muscle guy. And then Cronus is pretty big, but he's big in, like, the JBL kind of way. Like, the build.
Yeah, that's
not like the big ass, like Saturn is jacked.
Which is weird because Cronus is pretty athletic. Like, he can do a lot of things.
Yeah, but he's not jacked. He's just, he's just fit.
Some of the big things for Saturn, like Cronus tosses Mikey across the ring, tags in Saturn. Mikey waves off Cactus Jack, and Saturn hits like an arm drag, hip toss. It's nice. There's some good stuff going on.
Yeah. I honestly thought that the best person in this match was Cronus. At one point, he does a double handspring into a back elbow. That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
He does a power bomb. Saturn comes flying off the top with a knee drop. He's and then Saturn's back in the ring. He does a clothesline for a near fall. He hits a side slam at one point, and he puts on a side slam, and then Cronus
Yeah.
follows that with a middle rope leg drop.
Cronus is a nice overhead belly to belly.
Yes, he absolutely launches my guy.
And Mikey then is so confused he has no idea where to go for the tag. We do get the Cactus hot tag. It's all right. It's not anything to write home about.
It's the worst reaction to a hot tag I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
which is good. He's the heel.
Yeah, he takes down Saturn, fires a punch in the corner to Cronus. Eliminators eventually do get the numbers advantage.
I just want to know how these two are tag team champions. Like, they hate each other. They don't work.
Who did they beat for the tag titles? I
couldn't tell you.
They beat Too Cold Scorpio and the Sandman.
Oh, you mean the people who are main eventing this pay-per-view?
Whipwreck defeated Too Cold Scorpio in a singles match to win both the tag titles and the ECW World TV title. And then Cactus Jack came out and declared himself to be Mikey's partner. So that's why they're also not getting along.
Nice.
You
love to see that. Continuity. That's what we need in the wrestling business, especially ECW, apparently. Continuity is tough to come by.
There's a pile driver to Saturn in the ring. Cactus then goes to the outside and tries to get a glass bottle. And he does, and he breaks it. And he wants to slice Perry Saturn open. He wants to do some operation, water in the knee, shit like that.
Jesus Christ. Water in the knee?
Mikey intervenes and then gets in the way and stops him and then ends up drop kicking Cactus after trying to reason with him.
Yeah, Mikey then hits a Franken Mikey on Saturn. The Eliminators then just get in the ring. They end up hitting a high-low on Mikey Whipwreck for the win.
Total elimination is what's called. In terms of ECW,
man.
This isn't the best Eliminators match, but it is the first time that they would hold ECW Tag Gold. They actually would have the second highest number of days as tag champions together over their 3 reigns, only trailing Public Enemy, who held the belts for 369 days total. The Eliminators, in their 3 reigns, 335 days. It's weird, because I bet your first thought was that the Dudley Boys would be it, right?
Yeah, that was my first guess.
The Dudley Boys have 8 tag reigns between just Bubba and Devon. Only 230 days for those reigns. A lot of quick hot shotting of those belts.
Jesus Christ, man.
So on May 31st, 1997, Satulo, our boy Perry, tore his ACL when landing on a crutch while executing a kick to Big Dick Dudley, one of our favorite long-lost Dudley cousins. After about 2 months, he returned to action after rehabbing, which is crazy. And then he was impatient.
What the fuck?
It says here, after intensive reconstructive surgery, he was given a recovery time of up to a year. He began rehabilitating after 2 months and returned to action in August. So it was almost a year. So about a year out. That was May, June, July, August. That motherfucker came back in 3 months.
Damn, bro.
Damn.
That doesn't even happen in soccer, much less.
He refused to reform the Eliminators because he said that Kaizo had a lack of motivation and dedication. And Paul Heyman offered to release him if he could find alternative employment. And Perry Saturn went into negotiations with WCW, where he would join Raven's Flock, something we have seen before. We've seen Raven's Flock before on our podcast.
We have seen. Did we do a Raven's Flock match on this podcast?
We did a Raven's Rules match. I think it was in the DDP episode, I want to say.
It probably was.
Can't remember who else it would be. But we've got another Raven's Rules match here. It's Batch at the Beach 1998. It's Perry Saturn versus Raven. Saturn won't conform to the Flock. He was in the group with Raven, Billy Kidman, Lodi, Scotty Riggs, a couple other guys. So this is the blow-off as he's trying to end the Flock.
I just want to say that they announced Perry Saturn from Boston. So this is officially the best episode that we've done, aside from John Cena.
I was going to say, since the John Cena episode.
Yes.
That's fair.
I would just like to confirm that to everyone that's listening to this podcast.
This is another one of the big things that Perry Saturn's known for, is being part of Raven's flock. What did you think of this match?
A bit convoluted.
A little, not as much as it could have been.
My issue with it is the flock. I just don't care about the flock. I don't know anyone on the flock. In the flock, Scotty Riggs sounds kind of familiar. Couldn't tell you who that actually is.
Billy
though.
Kidman.
Oh, it's the other one's Kidman.
Not in this. Not at this point. Billy Kidman is part of the flock, but the other person who's out there, I believe, is Lodi.
Okay, I don't know who the fuck Lodi is. It sounds like fucking Bloaty and the Blowfish.
Hootie and the Blowfish.
Hootie and the
Are you
Blowfish.
about to disrespect Darius Rucker to me?
No, I love Hootie and the Blowfish.
Good. I didn't know. I didn't know where you were going with that.
I only want to be with you.
Well done. Well done. All right, so to start the match, Saturn chokes Raven with a shirt and tosses him into the guardrail, and I was like, we are off to a hot start.
Yeah, hot start here. Saturn starts choking Raven with his shirt.
Yeah.
Then he like slips off the top rope, but recovers gracefully from it and hits a drop kick.
It's pretty good.
He goes from a botch to a drop kick.
Gut wrench suplex by Saturn for a 2. He misses a top rope leg drop, and we get a double underhook suplex by Raven. Then we get my favorite part of the match that has nothing to do with the actual action. Raven gets a table, and Tony Schiavone's on commentary, and he calls it a chair, and the rest of commentary does not let it slide.
It's just cloud him for it. You know what? I love Tony Schiavone. I'm very happy that Tony Schiavone has gotten better at the announcing since his long hiatus from pro wrestling. Because, my God, anytime we have Tony Schiavone on this podcast from the WCW days, it's not very good. What's
different? What's different about him?
There's like a composure to him now that he just doesn't. It doesn't seem like he had then. It's also like not. Like he's not in the same role. He's like the analyst, but he's not the analyst. He's just the third guy.
Yeah.
Whereas like Excalibur is really like the move guy. You know, Tony's more so just contributing to like the telling of a story. Also, he's doing more like he's doing other things too. Like when the whole 4 pillars thing this week on Dynamite, like. He was the one that relayed to MJF, like, oh, there's going to be a tag match next week. And if you guys lose, the baby faces are added. You know? Like, that's, like, he does interviews in the back. He's just got, like, there's a lot more to his repertoire that's able to be unlocked. And his commentary's sort of limited down to just, little comments to progress things here or there, little comments to facilitate Excalibur talking with Taz,
It's almost like he's the narrator of AEW.
Yeah, really. Yeah. That's really what it is.
He's surrounded by better compatriots than he was. Like when he had Heenan on commentary, it's great. Heenan's fantastic. But like some of the other people they'd stick on commentary in WCW is like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, like what are we doing? Like, is that Jesse the Body Ventura?
Like I love Dusty, but his commentary was so
baby, what do we think right now, baby?
So Raven does get a table, even though Schiavone calls it a chair. Saturn deposits Raven on the top rope. He tries a springboard move. Raven rolls, and Saturn just goes fucking flying to the outside.
It's fucking great.
He will try to move a couple times. He'll be successful in some of them, but this was a miss.
Raven hits a side Russian leg sweep right into the guardrails that we just got to talk about this for a second because nobody like in that exchange, who wins?
Nobody. I'm so glad.
Does Raven get to come up first? He went into the guardrail just as much as this guy did.
Doesn't make any sense. Raven with a suplex, sleeper hold. Saturn moves him into the corner, hits a jawbreaker to get out of it. Series of high
suplex
kicks.
Right after that.
Then a series of high kicks in the corner and a spin kick, and I was like, Saturn's got the fucking legs on him.
Which is weird because my man didn't do anything about his torn ACL. Like, first off, I just need you to understand. Like, I know you know how serious a torn ACL is. I don't think you understand how serious the rehab to a torn ACL is. Like, you have to, like, pretty much go at it, like, almost daily because it's more so for the stability of it more than anything. Like, your leg is not stable if you have a torn ACL.
Yeah.
It's like impossible to like fully function with the working, like your leg doesn't work. Like you have to rehab that motherfucker like crazy. That's why it takes so long to recover from it. And for him to come back in like 3 months is ridiculous. Like it's just not possible.
So then Lodi and Riggs come in to attack Saturn, and he suplexes them both at the same time because he doesn't have time for this shit.
Yeah, it's crazy how effortlessly he did that too. By the way,
he's hella strong. It's crazy,
like crazy strong. It's like, now that you tell me actually that his background is like military and all that other shit, it makes sense. Like, probably just got really jacked, really young, and then just like kept it up.
He runs to jump off of a chair that he had set up into Raven in the corner, but Raven moves, and Nick Patrick gets hit instead. Patrick proceeds to, and I cannot undersell this enough, hump the canvas as he is writhing in pain. That is the
bro. He's selling like a child. He's grabbing his face. He's kicking his feet,
and he's humping. His hips going up and down, and that's
baby. When you talk like that, that's
Saturn bulldogs Raven into the top of the steps at ringside, and I had flashbacks to when Aleister Black got his eye removed. Remember that?
And Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, just blinding people. It was very fun.
And he tried doing it to, or did he do it to Buddy? He might have done it to Buddy, and then Buddy just joined him for some reason.
A second table gets grabbed by Saturn because the table was set up outside earlier. Saturn puts Raven on the table and then puts a table on top of him. I've never seen this strategy before. It's very unique.
Honestly, if you think about it, it's smart.
It makes sense.
If you really want to fuck the person up, because when you go through the first table, you're splitting it open so the jagged edges of it go right into them.
I see the vision. Them. How does that work out for our boy Perry?
It doesn't, because Canyon comes down.
Who better than Canyon?
Canyon comes. I knew you were going to say that, so I paused for dramatic effect.
Thank you.
Canyon comes down, gets Raven off, and then
gets Raven off. You can't say that on TV. Anyways, continue.
We're not on TV. Anyways, gets him off, and then off the table, and then Perry Saturn. Then, when they're free and clear, then decides it's time for him to jump.
Very much. Like, you know how it's delicate timing. Like when Logan Paul ended up getting KSI, they timed that perfectly at WrestleMania. It was great.
Yeah.
Raven is almost in the ring, and Perry jumps off still. And it's like, I'm already up here.
And then he like almost misses.
Canyon saves Raven because he wants to get his hands on him instead. Hits a flatliner onto the chair that's in the ring. Raven gets rolled on top of Saturn by Lodi, but he kicks out.
Yes. And then Saturn hits a super kick to the to Raven, but then the flock get on him.
Yeah. Hits a Death Valley driver on Riggs, which is nice.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't know any of their names, so I just wrote Flock next to
Flock.
Yeah. Saturn hits a DVD on Flock.
Yep.
And then Raven gets him, grabs him, hits a DDT. 1, 2, 3. Raven wins the Ravens rules match, sadly.
Even flow DDT by Raven gets the win. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we have more Saturn in WCW. Back from the break, Saturn would actually be the one to disband the flock. He would beat Raven at Fall Brawl and free everybody from the flock. Then, only like 6 months later, he would actually team up with Raven to start feuding with the new Four Horsemen, specifically Dean Malenko, and as we know him on this podcast, what do you call him on this podcast? Dickhead. Chris Benoit, we don't talk about him. That's the only time we'll say his actual name here. He is Dickhead on this podcast.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We are looking at a triple threat tag team match from Slamboree 1999. It is Saturn and Raven going up against Dean Malenko and Dickhead, and the team of Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman of the Filthy Animals. Now, this is unmasked Rey Mysterio, and it makes me sad
so much.
It's not it.
Bothered me so much. You know the man's commitment to that mask. I don't know if you watched Sheamus's Celtic Warrior workouts on YouTube, but this week, literally the episode that drops today as of this recording, was with Rey Mysterio. My man's just in the gym pumping iron, doing chest day with the mask on.
Yep. He's
no fucks giving.
Yeah. It's great. So, Perry Saturn, a couple things to note. wrestling in a skirt. Part of this has been he was wearing dresses for a few months before this. That was just part of his
Vito?
yeah, very Vito like. He was just part of his things because he had a match against Jericho where the loser wore a dress for 90 days. So he then took on, this is quoting directly from Wikipedia, a bizarre goth transvestite gimmick where he began wearing dresses to the ring and using a version of Marilyn Manson's The Beautiful People as entrance music.
What the fuck is happening?
Yep. Then he teamed back up with Ravens. That was like the interim. Yeah.
So moving on from that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Saturn decks Malenko and starts working on him with Kidman. They're basically doing a 2-on-1 situation. That's when I could tell. First off, we also need to talk about this. Dean Malenko is 100% the worst Horseman, right?
Ooh,
Sid is fit for what a Horseman is.
Sid.
I don't know about that one, man. Just for fit purposes alone, like what does Malenko bring to the Horsemen?
Malenko looks like he should be the Horseman's like accountant. You know what I mean? Like he's like their like IT guy.
I don't even think that, man. He's like he's, you know what he is? He's like, you know how everyone has that one friend that they don't like. No one, if you think about it, no one in the group really knows why they're friends with this person.
They've just been around forever.
Yeah, but they've just been around. Like, we don't actually vibe with this guy, but he's just been around so long that we just had to keep him around. And that's Dean in this group. He doesn't fit. Personality wise, he's nowhere near. You know, like he's a great wrestler, but he's also like 5'8". You know, like what are we doing?
Of all the matches we cover this week, this is the one that going beat by beat is going to be almost impossible. But the one thing I want to talk about in terms of the style of the match is that unlike multi-team tag matches in WWE and nowadays, this is one man from each team is in the ring at the same time. So it's a constant triple threat. And I actually like that better.
Which it should be. I don't know why it's not like that everywhere at all times.
I think that it's better. I also think that if you look at these 6 men, you know, Saturn, Raven, Mysterio, Kidman, Dighead, Malenko, what an undercard or like a mid card to have. Any
also, like,
of
who's
these guys,
the worst wrestler there? Is it Raven?
It's Kidman.
Is it Kidman?
I think it's Kidman.
I don't know if I'm about Billy Kidman's in-ring performance.
I think Raven's a better in-ring performer than Kidman.
Fair.
But like that's still like a good bar for the bottom.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty fucking good.
So they take out Dickhead. Then Dean and Saturn they take out the 2 Horsemen, and then that feels so weird to say. Dean Malenko and Dickhead as Horsemen. Yeah. But anyways, they do that, and then Saturn clotheslines Kidman, turning on him. He's like, "Fuck this alliance."
Let's talk about Saturn's role in this match, which is if he sees someone who isn't Raven, he punches them in the face. That is,
and then
like,
throws them.
And then just tosses them, which has got to be hard for him because, like, just 6 months ago, he was punching Raven and all of his friends in the face.
And then tossing them. But now here he overhead tosses Kidman out of the ring.
Yep.
Like, I want to say that it's a belly to belly, or like overhead belly to belly, but he just grabs him and chucks him.
Yeah. It's awesome. Some other good moves in the interim there. Springboard leg drop by Mysterio, and he and Raven fight over the pin. Dickhead takes out Kidman and blows snot rockets on him, which is just disrespectful. Saturn, when he gets
Kidman
tagged
hits
back,
a Clash of the Titus at one point here.
Saturn gets tagged back in, hits a big splash on Dickhead, but Malenko makes the save. Then Rey has a fucking epic, awesome Rey moment, and it's so good. He is getting sent into the turnbuckle. He gets pushed onto the top rope, lands on his feet, and gets a moonsault. It takes like a second and a half to happen.
Yeah. Watching Prime Rey Mysterio wrestle, even just like the most trivial of things, it's like kind of just like explaining to people like just how good somebody was. Like it's kind of like just explaining how like LeBron in Miami was like the fucking guy. Yeah. You know? Or like how like people from like, I don't know, maybe like your older brother's generation would probably like explain to us how Jordan was that fucking guy, you know?
Seeing Rey do this is seeing like Barry Sanders like do his thing, and you're like,
or like
wow,
LT, like for us, it'd be like Danian Tomlinson,
God, I
or
love
like
the Daniel
prime
Tomlinson.
Adrian Peterson. You
Yeah.
know,
So
just
good.
fucking athletic monster, just like clearly better than everyone else in the league at his position.
Saturn, on the other hand, does a tope, and when I tell you he barely breathes on the other people, he just lands on the outside.
Yeah,
He barely connects. Everyone falls.
Miz was catching him.
Nobody was there in the right spot to catch him. Lots of things happen. There's so much happening in this match. This is probably my recommendation this week.
It is. It's unfortunate because it's got Dickhead in it, but it's
Yeah.
it's the best match of the bunch to me.
Plus, you get to see Mysterio take my favorite bump of his of all time, which is when somebody slides him out of the ring like he's on a fucking conveyor belt at the grocery store. And
I don't know how he does it so smoothly.
Like, he's not oiled up or anything. He doesn't do that.
Because he's wearing a shirt.
You know, he's
Like
wearing the
sorry.
overalls with no shirt. He's on his Haystacks Calhoun.
Yeah, and then nowadays when he does it, he's wearing that like it's like pleather like top that he wears.
It's a lot. Also, let's talk about the ref in this match. Don't remember who the ref is.
I can tell you.
Ref gets mad at Rey for interfering, even though the Horsemen have been doing it the entire match. Things keep breaking down. Rey just comes in to like break up a pin, and the ref admonishes him for so long.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
It's
at
dumb.
one point, Saturn hits a super kick to Kidman, crotches him, then does a springboard crossbody.
Yeah, that thing he was trying to do in the last Braver match where he just fucking sailed to the outside. This is also 2 straight matches where at some point Saturn has just ate it to the outside.
Yeah. And like, sir, you're like a few years removed from a torn ACL that definitely didn't properly heal.
Why are you doing this?
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
At some point here, I'm just going to skip all over the dickhead offense.
Yep.
Saturn counters a cloverleaf with a cradle. That looked pretty cool. Malenko hits a powerbomb to Kidman for a near fall. We get a cool little side Russian leg sweep from Saturn. Raven then does the Three Amigos.
Yeah,
for a near
hot
fall.
tag, which I thought was super cool.
And then we just get Rey going crazy. He hits a Frankensteiner for a near fall. He does a flying head scissors on Saturn. He gets tossed up by Kidman to the top rope to hit a top rope Frankensteiner on, I think it was Malenko.
And then he tries it on Saturn, and Saturn just powerbombs him to shit. Doesn't care. Saturn then gets spine busted by some outside interference. Who shows up?
It's Arn Anderson. We get an Arn Anderson spine buster on this episode.
I need to know how you reacted when you saw that.
I was like, what the fuck?
Okay, I'm glad we had the exact same reaction. No idea. Didn't even realize Arn Anderson was at ringside.
Because I was telling you this before the recording. I was doing the prep for this podcast while the Game 5 for the Bucks Miami Heat was happening.
Yeah.
And at one point here, like, I'm half paying attention because Jimmy Butler is going full Himmy Butler and just going crazy on them. And I'm like partly paying attention. And this thing I know, I see like some movement going into the ring off the like from the side of my view, because I'm watching the match on my iPad and I'm watching the game on my phone in like the picture-in-picture type deal, while I can also type on the notes. And I'm looking at that and typing, and then I see some movements going around from someone who's not in the match. And I just see Arn pop up, hit his spine buster, and I go, oh, shit. And then Jimmy Butler, I think, hits like a mid-ranger like right after that. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler and Arn Anderson, same person. Both just him. Both him.
Yes, toss Carmelo Hayes into that mix, too. And we've got all the hymns.
Malenko locks on a Texas Cloverleaf, but a masked man pushes Kidman off of the top rope. If you know who this masked man is, tell us in the comments or on Twitter.
It's not Sting.
It's not Sting. Raven hits an even flow DDT and pins Kidman while Saturn is in the Cloverleaf, so Malenko didn't let go of the hold to break out the pin. New champs, Raven and Perry Saturn. Like I said, this, a talented mid-card. It's a shame where WCW will be in 2 years.
It slaps, man.
Yeah. So I need to tell you about what happens next with Perry Saturn is actually he teams with Dickhead. That's what happens next. He has a run with him. They formed a stable with Shane Douglas and Dean Malenko known as The Revolution. I feel like every name has been used for stables at this point. Like we got to start recycling.
if we had a stable,
Yeah.
and let's say it's me, you, and the reffing it up guys.
Yeah.
What would you want our name to be?
I feel like it's got to be like ref related at this point. Like it's got to be like the zebras or the pinstripers. You know what I mean?
Is it full count?
Full count is a great fucking yeah. And then we can also go baseball with it. I think that's great.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like this. You know what? You're out.
yeah, we do like very dramatic ones. I like that. Dickhead left the Revolution to align himself with Bret Hart. The remainder of the stable feuded with them, and then they moved on to feuds with Jim Duggan and the Filthy Animals. But while they're doing that, we are going to look at Perry Saturn's promo because he is here in a super fun flat top hat to talk about problems with the Revolution. What did you think of the promo?
First off, someone called him Shooting Saturn.
Shooting Saturn?
Or Shooter Saturn.
Oh, that's
and I'm like, there's one shooter out here, and he's another member of the Revolution, and it's not you, brother.
Go listen to
you.
Iceman, the Man of 1,000 Holds. Go listen to that episode when we talked about Dean Malenko. It was like episode 30.
Oh, so I know it's not him because I feel like I've brought this up on a previous podcast, and you said it wasn't him. Why does it sound like fucking Cyrus the Virus is on commentary?
I think it actually might be. I don't know. I don't know what the
timing
is.
Sounds exactly like Don Callis. I don't know if Don Callis was ever in WCW, but that sounds just fucking like him.
Perry Saturn talks about how the Revolution's going through hard times.
And I wrote in my notes, who the fuck was Dusty talking about?
That was from our second episode.
And no one's told us.
Go tell us who he was talking about. Also, according to my notes, and by my notes I mean Wikipedia, Don Callis was never in WCW, so it's not him.
Literally an entire pandemic happened, and we still don't know who Dusty Rhodes was talking about.
Jesus, you're right. The drip on Saturn, tremendous.
It's crazy.
Little lens, purple glasses, the flat hat, a white collared button up.
Opened up down to like the bottom part of his chest.
But not just a plain white button up either, like a textured one. That's big.
Oh, yeah. It's linen.
Necklace, watch. Perry Saturn's got it. He's got it.
He goes, it's no secret we're going through some dissension. Well, I've decided to be the fixer of the group and solve this problem.
You need a fixer.
Yeah, I think what works is a mediator. And I think you are too close to the situation to be that mediator, Perry.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so I think we got to take this to a third party. I appreciate that you're the one that's making the effort to bring things back together. That's a positive step in reconciliation. But it can't be you, Perry. It cannot be you.
My God. So he's saying, he asked myself, could it be Shane Douglas's fault? And the crowd is on board with me. They're like, yes, it is Shane Douglas's fault.
Yeah, fuck Shane.
And then he says, could it be Perry Saturn's fault? They don't cheer as much for that. Is it Malenko's fault? Is it Dickhead's fault? And the answer is no. Whose fault is it?
He says that they go out there and they give these people 100% night after night, no matter what. And then he says, it's the people's fault.
It is. I knew it. I should have guessed the people.
It's always the people.
3-1 says that they people.
We're 4 world-class athletes in the ring against people like Mysterio, Kidman, Conan, Guerrero, etc. Filthy Animals, all these people who just want to be in the ring and have a good time. Well, there ain't no good time in professional wrestling.
Yes, this is his there's no crying in baseball moment. There is no time for fun. What do you think, given like this, what could you show this era Perry Saturn about the product and be like, it would make him the most mad? Because I think it's that time that they had Jinder Mahal charm Santino Morella's Cobra. I think that is the moment that would break this Perry Saturn.
I think, oh man, that's tough. I think it would be when the Young Bucks or the Elite wrestled in the Ghostbusters gear.
Oh yeah.
And then Hangman Adam Page was the ghost, like the inflatable looking ghost that kind of looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that probably would have pissed them off the most.
Yeah, that's true. Or Kota Ibushi wrestling the doll.
Well, he was around for that part. He just,
Still, but like Perry, and the thing is, he's still with us. He's still around.
Yeah.
It's just like this era of Perry Saturn.
Seems like he's doing a lot better. I know he's gone through some hard times.
If you were like, here's some clips, this like 1999 Perry Saturn, he'd be furious.
You'd be like, what the fuck? Why is there a ghost in the ring?
He also says Malenko and Dickhead have doubt, so they're going to go to Japan to wrestle for 2 weeks. I'm like, is that how you deal with self-doubt? You go to Japan?
They're just doing the best of the Super Juniors, probably, or something like that.
Yeah, probably. So this promos were never Perry's biggest thing. It was never his strongest suit.
Look, he says that they will deal with the problem. They know that he knows that when they get back, the problem's still going to be there. And they're going to get in their face because the revolution is not dead. It's still alive.
Revolution's still alive. Viva la revolution. Kevin Sullivan, you know him. He was the Booker man.
Booker man.
He opined that Saturn was incapable of getting over with fans, which is what led to him negotiating alongside Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Dickhead with the WWF. And in January 2000, they were granted release from WCW and signed a 3-year contract with WWF. We are going to take a break. When we get back, we're looking at some of those guys going head-to-head over the European Championship. Back from the break, we of course know about the Radicals' debut. They debuted January 31st, 2000. They were in the front row of Raw, and they brawled with the New Age Outlaws because Road Dogg literally fell in their fucking laps. And then Cactus Jack was like, come help me fight the McMahon Helmsleys. And they immediately turned on Cactus Jack and were like, fuck you, we want chops.
And then they had one of the best 8-man tag matches in the history of wrestling.
Which we have covered on this podcast.
With Rikishi and all them boys. This is awesome.
Saturn would actually, like, from the Radicals, would go to the hardcore division. He'd have some matches with Crash Holly. He won the hardcore championship for himself, and then people turned on each other. And it led to this triple threat match at Judgment Day 2000. It is Perry Saturn versus Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero for the European title. Eddie and China are a duo right now, and Perry Saturn's on his own.
So the clip starts with backstage, not backstage. We're in the parking lot, the arena parking lot. Eddie pulls up with Mamacita. And is going full Latino heat.
Yep.
They get confronted by Dean Malenko, who tells China to stay out of the match.
Yeah.
Which they laugh off, and then Saturn shows up and says that if he's going to kiss somebody's ass, kiss the winner's ass, which is him.
Straightforward, to the point. I get the message, all right? Perry Saturn's WWF theme slaps.
Oh, yeah. It's
that right level of, like, it's not grunge. It's grungy, but it's not grunge. But it's like, it drives it home. You see him, like, you're coming here to beat somebody.
It's like Pearl Jam. Like, Pearl Jam's got the grungy, like, sound, but they're not grunge.
Yeah, that's my Pearl Jam impression, and that was
terrible,
flawless. Fuck you.
It was fucking awful. Eddie comes out with China. He hands her flowers, and I just go, "My boy really is the Riz God."
That's true. Yeah, that's
true. The Riz God.
He's the Rizzler. You know, he's Riztopher Columbus. He's discovering new worlds of Riz. Yeah,
he's Rizzy Riz, man.
Powerful Wizard of Oz. That's Eddie. You know,
you're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. that's where Eddie went.
Dean and Saturn come down.
We could do
after
this all day.
They immediately attack Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah,
Malenko hits a backbreaker into a Saturn flying knee drop, and then they shake hands. So at one point here, they do like a reverse whip spot with Eddie in the corner.
Yeah.
And Saturn goes into Eddie and then explodes out of the corner with a clothesline to Malenko.
Yeah, that partnership lasted 30 seconds.
Not even.
Saturn has really expanded his moveset in this match specifically. Yeah.
He hits what's pretty much an F5 to Dean Malenko.
Yeah, I was like, this is the flapjack. And then I looked at it again. I'm like, It's pretty much an F5. Like, not the
That's
same
an
start.
F5.
It's an F5. And then he does a press drop. Eddie manages to get the advantage by double low blowing both men because they're lined up behind him.
And the ref doesn't see it. Just a double mule kick. It's great.
Yeah.
And Eddie just starts going stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Guerrero, when he's on a roll, I still think is just the best.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Also, this is a good time to plug it. You should look forward on our YouTube channel. We are going to start doing a series called Revisited. And the first wrestler that we're going to revisit is Eddie Guerrero, who we covered in our first ever episode. We're going to cover 2 more matches from Eddie Guerrero, youtube.com/@crossbodyofwork. Go and subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He hits a nice tornado DDT on Perry Saturn. And Perry Saturn sells it pretty well.
Saturn is so big compared to these other 2 guys.
He's so fucking thick.
Because Eddie's a little jacked, but he's like still slim. He's in that slim, Latino Heat version of himself.
And Dean is the fucking he's a Fiat of people. Like he's compact. It's all there.
It's like, have you ever seen The Accountant, the Ben Affleck movie?
Yes.
It's like how he tried to be an action hero guy type or an action star type of guy. It doesn't work because Ben Affleck just isn't meant for that role physically.
You're not him.
You're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal. And that's just Dean Malenko. It's like he's Ben Affleck in The Accountant, which is a good movie. Not to discount The Accountant. I fucking love that movie.
Well, you have to. You're from Boston. You have to love all Ben Affleck movies.
That's just not true.
Okay, give me a Ben Affleck movie that isn't Geely that you don't like.
That isn't what?
Geely.
What is Geely?
It's a bomb he made with Jennifer Lopez. It's like one of the worst movies of all time.
Literally never heard of it. But also Batman versus Superman.
Oh, that's cheating too. Malenko pulls Eddie off of the pin and then hit what I called the Tyler Driver 97, even though that motherfucker's 3 years old at this point.
I called it Tiger Driver 97.
Eddie rolls through. Dean goes for a cloverleaf, breaks it up in order to clothesline Saturn, who's coming at him. Then Saturn has one of my favorite. If you had to encapsulate Perry Saturn in a set, this is what happens. Eddie is on Perry's shoulders. He could do the Doomsday device with Dean Malenko, who's on the top rope. Perry then decides, I can screw up both of these people, drops Eddie onto the ropes, which then crotches Dean. It
slams Eddie.
Yeah, and then overhead belly to Eddie. Like, he doesn't give a shit. I was like, this is great. He's a solo guy.
Yeah, at one point we get a really cool move here, too, which is Dean getting hits a gut buster on Eddie off the top rope.
Yeah, it seemed unnecessary, but really cool.
Saturn hits a frog splash to Eddie for a near fall. It looked fine.
This is fine. He's so big that he doesn't get a lot of movement on it. Yeah,
it's tough to get the movement. He's not exactly. Perry Saturn doesn't strike me as a man who's going to work on his mobility.
He's like, I can walk around. What are you talking about? Saturn wants a cloverleaf on Malenko. Eddie grabs him, hits him with a nice brain buster.
Oh my god! Which fucking took me by surprise. I was like, "What the hell? A brain buster in WWE?"
I loved it because Saturn was going for the cloverleaf, which is obviously Dean's move, and then Malenko goes for the rings of Saturn on Eddie, but Eddie gets out with basement dropkick. Saturn goes to the outside when Eddie does a rope bridge, and again 3 matches in a row. Saturn ends up just flying to the outside.
Yeah, and then Dean hits a back suplex. And then follows it up with quite possibly the ugliest frog splash I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's.
I found the one thing in the ring that Dean Malenko can't do.
What about touch net? I guess that's not in the ring, so that doesn't count.
I don't know if we set up a goal over there for the people to shoot on.
One of those little Fisher Price ones. It's like, hell yeah!
Might still be too tall.
Double German by Saturn to both men is incredible.
Yeah. And then China fucking nails Perry Saturn with the flowers, and he's out cold.
He's out cold. I didn't know flowers had that much of a punch.
Dude, I was like, God damn, it's just roses. What the fuck?
They really smell like poo, ooh, ooh, ooh. She goes to Malenko with them. He blocks it, but Eddie hits a roll-up and retains. And what do we find out about the roses after the fact?
The stem of the flowers was actually encased in a lead pipe.
Yeah, they're all in the lead pipe. It's pretty great. This match might be the best individual performance by Perry Saturn.
Oh, it is. It's absolutely the best he's looked, I think, in any of these matches. It's not the best match, but if you want to,
that tag match,
if you're just like a big Perry Saturn guy and you're listening to this right now, and you just want to watch any of these matches and just get the full Perry Saturn fucking rocks experience, this is the one.
Or if you've never seen a Perry Saturn match, and you want to see like what he was all about, this is the one. Also, two guys he knows extremely well and can work with extremely well.
So two of the best in-ring performers of all time.
Yeah, hard to. It's like the joke when people are like, "Oh, you could put me on a team with the Heatles, and I'd get at least 10." You know what I mean?
I wouldn't get 10.
I wouldn't get 10.
I'm a really good shooter. I'm a good shooter. I'm not getting 10.
Dean Malenko's a shooter too. All right. Our last match is again for the European Championship, this time against Eddie Guerrero, fully loaded 2000. And at this point, Perry has, I think, the second most associated person with him in terms of female companionship with him, and that's Terry. We'll talk about...
Are you assuming Moppy is a female?
Yes.
First off, how dare you gender them?
I know. But also, I was going to leave the Moppy for surprise for those who don't know about Moppy till after. But
did we talk about Moppy yet?
We haven't, because Moppy happens after this. But let's talk about Moppy. Let's go there before we talk about this last match. So, May 17th, 2001. We're jumping ahead. We're on an episode of Jacked. If you have no idea what Jacked is, one, it's spelled Jakked. Sorry about that. In 2001, it was cool to spell everything wrong.
Remember Jack, like the video game, the little weird guy with the orange hair?
Oh, no, I was thinking You Don't Know Jack, which is like the
precursor. Jack, the JAK. It's an old PlayStation game.
Yeah. So on this episode of Jacked, Perry Saturn legitimately attacked a jobber named Mike Bell and got punished for it in terms of his gimmick. And his gimmick was that he received head trauma in a match against the APA and Raven and began acting eccentrically, speaking nonsensically because of a concussion. He began uttering the phrase, "You're welcome," at random intervals and fell in love with a mop, an inanimate mop named Moppy, which just had a face on it, similar to, like Wilson from Castaway.
Wilson!
And because wrestling fans will put over anything, including a potted plant. Remember that? Remember Mitch? R.I.P. to Mitch.
Great. Shout out to Mitch. Miss you, buddy.
He turned face because it was Perry and Moppy. And Terry Runnels, who was still with Perry through this whole ordeal, was like, it's me or the mop. And Perry chose the mop.
As he should have.
That's disrespect to Miss Terry Runnels. Okay.
Okay, but you got to think. What got him over? Was it Terry or was it the mop?
I mean, it was the mop. It was the mop. She left Perry Saturn for Raven, who helped her enact vengeance on Saturn by stealing Moppy and putting Moppy through the wood chipper.
That just took me for a fucking loop. Terry Runnels got put with Raven
in order to enact revenge on Perry, and they put Moppy in a wood chipper. I put the wood chipper clip on Twitter at Crossbody of Work. Go watch the clip. Yeah, it's tough. So let's go back and talk about this match with Terry at his side. Terry is behind Perry during the entrance.
Perry, Eddie,
because she's scared of China. China fucking decks Saturn to get hands on Terry.
Yeah. She wants to rip Terry apart. Eddie then, so she decks Saturn to get to Terry. Saturn gets up, decks China from behind, and then Eddie decks Saturn from behind. So they start fighting in that ramp entryway area until eventually they get back into the ring. Eddie hits a back suplex, then his little unorthodox springboard flipping senton thing that he does.
The slingshot senton?
Yeah, that he does, but he adds a little sauce to it. China then runs over Perry Saturn. Absolutely runs this man over after she's not able to get Terry and comes back out.
What division level of football could China play offensive tackle at?
Offensive tackle?
Yeah. I think she could have done it.
It's like D3. Is there a D4?
I think she still could have been like starting right tackle at like Weber State.
I mean, Weber State's not fucking D3.
They're D2 at most. They're not
They're
D1
D2 probably. And actually, football, I have no fucking idea. I mean, UMass is D1 in football for some goddamn reason. Probably D2.
Perry gets absolutely destroyed by China. We get a top rope Frankensteiner from Eddie. Saturn gets tossed to ringside, and China launches him into the steel steps. Then just clocks him with a right hand. I was like, China is whooping ass.
She's beating that ass.
What do you think? This is a good place to talk about it. What do you think of Perry Saturn's selling overall?
I think he's good at it. I think the thing that makes him a good seller is he really fucking he does not give a fuck about his body.
Yeah, he is the balls to the wall type person. I think his consistency might be not as great. I think he only sells when he feels legitimately hurt, it seems like. And he hurts himself
he's not great at things. I don't think he's a good seller of punches and stuff.
Yeah.
Little moves, chops, punches, a kick here or there. But if you're telling this man, get run over by China, he's like, okay. If you're telling him, top rope Frankensteiner, sell this like you're dying. Okay.
Yeah.
Stuff like that he could sell really well. It's just the little things that he kind of there's an inconsistency there, maybe a lack of effort that he just it's unfortunate, but it's there.
Eddie leaps off the turnbuckle for another Hurricane Rana. Saturn then goes to a powerbomb to get a little bit of momentum. Then it's flapjack season. Open up the IHOP, catch him in the corner for a flapjack, hits him with another flapjack. It's flapjack season.
It's flapjack season, or if you're bougie and live in Boston, Cafe Landwehr. Great pancakes.
Going to a maple syrup festival tomorrow. So,
oh my god!
I'm about to get myself some pancakes.
You about to get yours?
I'm about to get mine. Hurricane Rana by Eddie. He rolls through a suplex into a pin for a 2. Saturn essentially hits a pop-up powerbomb as a counter to the Hurricane Rana.
There's an electric chair position, then he pops him around. Boop.
It was great.
Eddie hits a tornado DDT.
Yeah, it's nice.
That leaves Saturn bleeding somehow.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Maybe he just probably spiked himself in the wrong way. You know what it is probably because he's bald. So he probably when he landed. Honestly, what might have happened is he slid on the mat a little bit, and it got a little mat pulled on his skin. Maybe he got a burn or some shit that just turned into a little cut.
That's fair. For those who are wondering, let's put this in a historical context. Will Levis just got drafted while we're recording this.
Oh, the draft is on.
Yeah, Will Levis just got drafted to the Tennessee Titans as we were recording this. So.
You know what? We're going to do this now. Everyone listening and watching this, sit down and rejoice, for the reign of tyranny is finally over.
Oh, yeah.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. The fucking Green Bay Packers, for the first time in not just my lifetime, but the lifetime of Evan, the lifetime of probably Evan's fucking brother, finally do not have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback at the helm. We've got Jordan Love.
I don't think
Vikings and the rest of the division are finally free.
I don't think Jordan Love is going to be another 20-year Hall of Fame quarterback.
He's not. I could tell. I'm just going to tell you right now, he's not.
But on the off chance that he's even good,
fuck that.
I'm so ready. Ready. I think it'll be great.
You know what the problem is? You guys drafted a defensive end with your pick in the first round instead of getting him the best wide receiver.
The universe knew that I was pissed off with this pick because I didn't. One, from everything, I was like, I do not want Van Ness from Iowa. I don't want him. And then this clip went viral where Van Ness was a star hockey player, and I was like, don't try to appeal to my sensibilities. Because it's not even that he was a hockey player. The fucking clip is him destroying a kid as he gets over the blue line, and I was like, I mean, I get it, I see it. I don't want to like it. Anyways,
he's not playing for the fucking Toronto Maple Leafs.
Harry Saturn,
Harry
Saturn tries a goddamn moonsault.
He misses that shit.
It's not good. Brainbuster by Eddie. He's heading to the top. Saturn rolls into the way of a senton. Again, stack onto the flapjack. Power slam by Saturn. He goes up top and Eddie meets him.
Yeah.
Eddie drop kicks him to the outside. China gets clotheslined by Perry Saturn. Perry gets his revenge in the best way possible and clotheslines China through the announce table.
Yeah. And then Terry comes out again.
which I didn't know was possible. But then, yeah, here comes Terry.
Saturn uses Terry as a shield, and then she low blows him.
She kicks him in the balls. To
Just
Eddie,
right
that
in the
is.
dick. Yeah, because she kicks Eddie right in the balls. Sorry,
Saturn
him is
sends
Eddie.
Eddie into the ring post, elbow drop from the top rope, and Saturn wins the European Championship. Saturn only won
shocker.
3 titles in WWF, the hardcore title twice, and this European Championship reign. That was
How long did it last, Evan?
The European Championship reign? I don't think it lasted very long. I think it lasted about a month. He would lose it to Al Snow, if I remember correctly.
What the fuck?
Let me double check that.
My boy Leaf, he lost to Leaf?
He lost to Leaf, yes. So it's because Terry's rivalry was with the Cat at this time, and it led to a feud between Saturn and Al Snow. And yeah, August 31st, he would lose it to Al Snow.
That's all right.
Perry Saturn was the last pick of the brand extension draft in 2002.
Oh.
He was the 29th pick for SmackDown, 58th pick overall. A month later, he re-injured his ACL, sidelined for 4 months, and was released in November 2002. He had a quick cup of coffee in TNA, and then actually Perry Saturn had a difficult thing. In April of 2004, he was involved in an altercation with 2 men when he came to the aid of women that were in the process of being sexually assaulted. He fought the men and was shot with a .25 caliber handgun in the back of the neck and in the right shoulder, which he thought were punches. That's terrifying. He's strong enough to be like, I've been shot. Someone punched me? Awful. After being shot, he became addicted to drugs, was homeless for 2.5 years, disappeared from public view. People were like worried about him. They did not know where he was. And he reemerged in 2010, having resolved his addiction, which is incredibly strong and like definitely notable. And like everyone should give kudos to Perry for doing that.
Yeah, and I think he does the rounds as far as signings and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
he's probably around WrestleCon, all this other stuff.
Yeah,
it's good. It's always an admirable thing when you see someone, not only get clean but stay clean.
Yeah,
and it's a nice finish to a story that unfortunately ended a little too soon as far as his in-ring career goes.
It's unfortunate the way his in-ring career ended, but what do you think of his legacy, what he brought to the table as a wrestler?
Look, man, for as much as the legacy may be tainted a little bit because of Dickhead, he is still a radical. He was a part of the Radicals, and that was a really important thing at a really important time for the WWF. It was a coup, regardless, and he's one of those 4, and you can never take that away from him. The Eliminators, again, obviously I'm not a big ECW guy, I don't know, but they seem to be one of the more exciting tag teams that ECW had. He's just a damn good guy. He was a part of a division in WCW, that mid-card / cruiserweight kind of intermeshing thing with that, had a lot of good names, and he's just a damn good wrestler. Obviously, he left this. It's unfortunate that one of the lasting legacies of him is going to be Moppy, because it's just a comedy gimmick. But at the same time, it's a lasting legacy. Like, I'm going to remember Perry Saturn.
Moppy. I loved Moppy as a kid. I thought it was hilarious. This is a mop.
It was funny.
He loved the mop. I thought it was so funny. But it's also funny because it just seemed weird because Perry Saturn is so intimidating looking. Before we were recording, you gave a great example of who you think he fits in with, and I think it's perfect.
I don't remember. Who the fuck does he fit in? The Steiners.
You say he looks like a third Steiner.
He does. He looks like a third Steiner. He's got the little goatee. Obviously, I don't mean he's a third Steiner as far as the way he wrestles and all that stuff, but he's personality wise, I think he's somewhere between the two. I don't think he's as bland and stale and serious as Rick. Also fuck Rick Steiner. But I also don't think that he's this out there charisma fucking machine like Scott. He's somewhere in the middle there. He's a damn good wrestler. The Steiners are damn good wrestlers. They also have very similar builds,
and they're all very scary looking.
Yes.
You should follow the podcast on all of the social medias. You should follow us on YouTube at Crossbody of Work. You should follow us on Instagram, same handle. And you should follow us on Twitter, of course, exact same handle at Crossbody of Work across all 3. Javier, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on the Twitter machine at JMello Sports. It's in the bio of the Twitter account for the account. Just click my name and then hit the follow button. Just do it.
Do it for me too. At it7gomes, ITSEVANGOMES. You should also go to fullpresswrestling.com to find all the links for all of this week's matches. Like we said, our recommendations, definitely that triple threat tag match. But if you want to see Perry Saturn in his absolute bag, it's that triple threat European Championship match from WWF. That's probably the best one for his own skills. Fullpressshop.com. It's along the bottom if you can see it on the YouTube. But if not, fullpressshop.com, cop the merch, support the boys. Javi's got one on right now. And of course, whether it's on YouTube or wherever you're listening to our podcast, rate and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. Next week, we are looking at the career of a man with many gimmicks. You may know him as a voodoo priest. You may know him as a fighting machine. But more likely than not, you know him as the conductor of the Ho Train. We're looking at the Godfather, Charles Wright, next week on the pod.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to do The Godfather. There is so much to do here. Like we've got the Godfather, we've got the Good Father, we've got Kama Mustafa. There's just so much going on with this man. Papa Shango, the versatility of this individual. I'm really looking forward to it. We honestly might be able to do a match per gimmick. It's crazy.
I think we've got a lot of it is Godfather related, obviously, but also you would be surprised how long he was in Right to Censor. It was a lot longer than you think.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Right to Censor content, so get ready for that theme song. But it's time for everyone's favorite part of the episode. Javier, any final words for the people?
This week on Life Advice with Javier, we're going to keep it sweet and simple, and we're more so gearing towards the younger clientele here, but I guess it works for the older ones as well. Free food. When you can get it, get it. Like it's one of those things. Like
yes.
The complex that I live in, they like brought over a food truck today for anyone who lives here could just go out get like a burger or some shit. And I went, and the line was extensive. And you know why? It's because people are smart. You say free food, they go and they get it. If you're in college and there's a department or something, they're giving out pizza or whatever the fuck, or pizza, burgers, sandwiches, salads, whatever it may be, don't matter. Just make sure you're there because free food is free food for you. Yeah, free food is free food. You don't got to pay for it. You just take it, boom, you eat it, you're done.
It's great. If you get that free food.
There's free food out. Get the free food. Just do it.
Free food. Just do it. Just do it. Thank you for joining us this week as we looked at the career of Perry Saturn. We're back next week to look at Charles Wright and his many, many, many gimmicks. We will talk to you then.
Skull.